surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now. Hey, start the show.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new series for the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Ladies and gents, I plugged this for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and it finally arrived. Today is Wednesday, July the 1st. Welcome to the debut edition of the Progess Wrestling Podcast that I am presenting on behalf of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. That's right, Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, Progess Wrestling. Hope you're going to enjoy this, like you've enjoyed the ICW stuff and everything, and we'll see how this goes and everything. And Chapter 1 is today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be starting at the beginning. You know, this is a new thing. This is a new series for the podcast and everything. So I thought, why not, start from the beginning? Chapter 1. Chapter 2 will be next week. So we start with Chapter 1 in the beginning, and it started, the concept of this Chapter 1 was to have some preliminary matches, or qualifying matches, and whoever wins them qualifying matches, the four winners of the qualifying matches go to a fatal four-way or elimination match at the end and challenge for the Progess Wrestling title. The winner becomes the very first Progess Wrestling champion. So we kicked off with a guy people may very well know if you watch ICW, Noam Dar, one-on-one with a guy who I'm very familiar with when it comes to watching wrestling, the one and only L.E. Guerrero, TNA Boot Camp member as well. Now, to start off, Noam Dar takes the fight to El Ligero from the start. Great quick-paced wrestling, Ligero with the advantage. Ligero mocking Dar. Ligero dives on Dar. Gorgeous standard moonsault from Ligero, gets a near fall. Dar cannot get an advantage till he drop kicks Ligero off the top rope. Both men toe-to-toe on the outside. Dar looking to target the leg, then arm. Ligero fights back. Dar drop kicks the leg of Ligero. Kick to the face, two clothesline. Ligero fight back on handspring kick, gets a near fall. Dar hits a Northern Light suplex, gets a near fall, locks the leg lock. Ligero gets a rope break. Drop kick by Ligero to create some space. Spinning forearm gets Dar near fall. Cradle roll gets Ligero near fall. Huge clothesline gets Dar near fall. Dar working on the leg and locks in a leg lock on Ligero. Kicks to the face, gets a near fall, and another one. Ligero starts to fight back and breaks it. Ligero cuts Dar and hangs him in the trio roll, then double stomp to the face, then kick to the gut, then it hits springboard DDT and gets the win in what was a great match to begin the show. Another guy who I'm familiar with, which was in the next match, which he had a match with Ligero at the Butter Show that they had up here in Middlesbrough, my hometown. That was Nathan Cruz one-on-one with Colossus Kennedy, a guy who again was at that Butter Show but got humiliated. Kennedy proving to be powerful than Nathan, feeling out process so far. Kennedy showing his power, splash in the corner, then a shoulder block advantage Kennedy. Cruz come back in the ring the hard way, thanks to Kennedy. Cruz with knee to the face, showing quickness till he jumps into Kennedy's clutches. Suplex from a body slam position gets Kennedy a 2 count. Kennedy boot Cruz, eats the ropes, just boots him in the face, and next minute he turns around and he bounces up the ropes. Hardly Nathan. Nathan in deep trouble. Nathan goes to work on the leg of Kennedy, chopping the big man down to his size. Advantage Nathan Cruz. Cruz counters a choke slam and back onto Kennedy's leg, wrestling the big man. Big splash in the corner. Then Cruz goes to jump on Kennedy but jumps into a right hand. Kennedy goes for Cruz but the leg gives away. Kennedy mounting a fight back with headbutts. Boss man slam for Kennedy gets a near fall. Huge clothesline for Kennedy gets a near fall. Drop kick to the knee. Huge kick to the side of Kennedy's face gets Cruz the win and advancing to the final match. And the third match, which was Loco Mike Mason against a guy we all familiar with, the one and only Colt Cabana. Colt, having fun at Mason's expense with a ball, slaps Mason. Colt rolls up Mason and gets a near fall. Mason focused on the tennis ball. Offense allows Mason to take control. Colt wrestling him, getting a near fall. Colt gets back in it. Colt rolls up and gets a near fall. Colt dances with Mason, just having fun at his expense. Airplay spin by Cabana. Becky James gets involved, the manager of Mason. Mason takes control. Big forearms across Cabana's face. Mason wearing out Cabana and gets a near fall. Cabana in a hell of a lot of trouble. Colt firing back with rights, then jabs, bionic elbow, then goes for Becky. Big splash, gets a near fall, and then gets 3 more near falls after that. Colt hits the testicular claw, then a butt bump knocks Mason into the corner. Second butt bump, Colt locks in a submission. Becky throws something into Mason, a chain of some sort. Mason, with the ref distracted, uses it in Colt, nails Colt Cabana with it, and gets the victory. It was a shady win, to be honest with you, but hey, it was effective. And he goes on to the final match to determine the Progress Wrestling Champion. And I'm going to take a little quick break there, guys. I'll be back right after this little quick promo with the part 2, which saw Marty Scurll versus Zack Sabre Jr., 2 tag team partners going at it. It also saw the BCW Scarlo Championship match, which saw Daryl Allen, Alexander Cooper, and Zach Gibson. Many of you people may know Zach Gibson if you watch New Generation Wrestling, which I'd like to watch New Generation Wrestling. The only time I get to see New Generation Wrestling is on Wrestle Talk TV. And then also we'll talk about and I'll review and go through the final match, which crowned a new and the very first Progress Wrestling Champion. So all that is to come right after this, so stay tuned. If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Twitter page at WM Podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland, where I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Progress Wrestling Podcast, Chapter 1, presented to you by the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Yours truly, the HT, the ADD. Hope you're enjoying it so far. The first 3 matches there were the first half of the show, and then we move on now to Zack Sabre Jr., that's spelled Sabre, versus a guy we all know very well, unless if you watch Wrestle Talk TV, is the man who's now known as the Villain, but this is when he was back known as the Party Man. That's right, Party Marty Scurll. That's right. This match kicks off. Mat Wrestling to start off the match. Chain Wrestling, Mat Wrestling also feeding each other out. These two were actually tag team partners as well. Marty working on the arm of Zack, bridging out. Head scissors, still chain wrestling. A lot of chain wrestling, a lot of mat-based wrestling, a lot of British-style wrestling too in this match. A wrestling clinic in the early stages from both men. Bow and arrow into a pin, Zack gets a near fall. A slap by Marty, then a kick by Zack. Marty suplex gets a near fall. Advantage Marty skull. Figure 4, Zack rolls up for 2 count. Marty locks a figure 4 in on Zack, slap each other in the face. Zack locks armbar, Marty gets out. Zack throwing kicks and heavy duty kicks too. Zack kicks Marty in the leg, works on the arms and fingers. Advantage Zack stretching Marty. Hard kick to the back gets a 1 count. Zack controlling Marty with an armbar, then a chin lock. Backslide into a sit out powerbomb. Gets a near fall straight into an armbar for Zack. Drop kick to the knee, then phase by Marty. Then Marty dives on Zack outside. Marty hits a slam dunk, which is a lung blow as they call it, which is something when you drive the knees into the gut buster move. You get him in a fireman's carry and you just lift him up and drive the knees into the gut. Catching Zack in mid, he did that by catching Zack in midair. Second rope suplex gets Marty an ear fall. Don't know why I put. Zack can throw kicks, men working the arm also. Zack hits a dragon suplex, gets a near fall. Marty hits a tornado DDT, then Zack hits a roundhouse enziguri, toe to toe in the middle of the ring, both men. Zack combo gets a near fall. Same for Marty, rolling up Marty gets a near fall. Zack rolls into an armbar. Marty gets a near fall. Zack still has the armbar. Marty gets out by using a powerbomb to get out of the move. Zack throws kicks and gets a near fall. Backslide counter back Marty, and Marty gets the 3 count with a sunset flip, like pinfall, and moves on to the final match. Both men show respect because, like I say, great wrestling clinic. These two guys knew each other very well, and at this time anyway, they were tag team partners. So, great showing by both men. Now, for a championship match, which was the BWC Scholarship Championship match. It was a 3-way dance between Darryl Allen, wow, it's not easy to say, Alexander Cooper, the champion, and a guy we all know very well, and especially if you watch NGW, Zach Gibson, and the guy who just won this past weekend the Davey Boy Smith Cup Memorial Tournament. That is not easy to say, but I said it. Cooper had taken out from the match early on, Gibson taking the fight to him, then Allen hitting a drop kick. Quick paced wrestling, Allen winning that, then Cooper's sneak attack from behind. Cooper splashes both men, then hits a crossbody on both men. Tower of Doom in the corner by Cooper. I think Zack was going to get Allen up into like a suplex kind of move, but Cooper jumped on the second rope and then powerbombed Zack, and while that was happening, Allen goes for a ride himself. Cooper gets a near fall on Gibson, going to work on him. Advantage Cooper keeping Allen outside. Allen throws kicks till he takes one from Cooper. Cooper gets a near fall. Cooper hits a suplex, gets a near fall. Gibson hits a double sunset flip. Cooper takes it like if he was taking a German suplex. A slugfest between all three men. Allen super kicks Cooper. Gibson hits a 2-man lung blower. Then an elbow followed up by an enziguri, gets a near fall. Allen breaks it up. Allen monkey flips Cooper into Gibson. Allen gets a near fall on Gibson. Fast paced action. Allen chases Gibson but runs into the corner. Allen charges Gibson is what I meant to say, but runs into the corner because Gibson dives on Cooper. 2 quick near fall. Cooper gets a near fall. Allen gets a near fall. Gibson gets a near fall on both men. Springboard lung blower, which is the slam dunk. Then hits exploder. Gibson gets a near fall. Allen hits an enziguri, then hits a 450 splash. Cooper breaks it up. Covers. Allen covers. Then covers Gibson. I'll say that again. Allen hits enziguri, then hits a 450 splash. Cooper breaks up Allen's cover, then covers Gibson, and Cooper retains the BWC Scholarship Championship. And that is not easy to say, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the little mishaps there. It's a lot to read out. I do take notes on these matches, and there's a lot to read at times, so I apologise for that. 4-way main event for the Progress title, which was at the time one of them big sticks that you get out if you're in like a war or something, like in Victorian times or Victorian ages walk thing. It was something they used before they got the belt, and it contested of Mason, the guy who beat Colt Cabana, Marty Scurll, Nathan Cruz, and El Ligero. Marty charges, but Cruz takes control till Ligero hits a crossbody. Cruz fights back. Ligero too quick hits a Hurricane Rana. Mason stops Ligero. Cruz goes for a dive but misses. Ligero hits a somersault senton on all 3 men outside. All 4 men fight in the crowd all around the arena, even at the bar area. Marty hits a boot to the face on Cruz. Mason and Ligero brawling in the crowd. Marty and Cruz on the stage. Ligero joins them. Cruz takes a chop. Ligero gets his turn. Fans get involved and both men chop Cruz, and then Mason ends that. Mason and Marty fighting at ringside. Fight on the outside still. Ligero throwing Cruz into chairs. Ligero uses a chair on Cruz. An all-out brawl to begin with. It's supposed to be a 4-way. Chair fight between Ligero and Marty. Ligero wins. Cruz whipped into chairs on the outside. I think that's... Cruz whipped Ligero into chairs on the outside. My bad. Ligero takes a backdrop on the stage. Mason hits forearms on Ligero. Ligero hits a dropkick into the chair to the face of Mason. Ligero hits a corner dropkick, gets a near fall. Mason in charge thanks to Cruz on Ligero interfering. Ligero had the momentum, and then Cruz just ends that with a rake to the face while he was stood on the outside apron. Slingshot back suplex. Cruz gets a near fall. Cruz and Mason double teaming Ligero. Ligero hits a bulldog on Mason and kicks Cruz as well, which is like a bulldog move. And while he's doing the bulldog on Mason, he just kicks Ligero with his right foot. Facebuster into a springboard roundhouse kick, which is a springboard enziguri, whatever you want to call it. Gets on Cruz, gets Ligero near fall. Ligero hits a super kick on Cruz and hits an enziguri on Mason. Ligero goes on top, hits a splash. Becky grabs the referee as Ligero goes for the cover. Cruz kicks Ligero, and Ligero gets eliminated by Cruz. Mason hits a suplex. Ligero trips up Mason, and Marty pins Mason, and Mason is out. Ligero gets his payback because Becky interrupted Ligero, and Ligero returned the favour, so to speak. Cruz and Marty go toe to toe. Marty fights back, hits a second rope knee drop and gets a near fall. Cruz hits a neck breaker, gets a near fall. Advantage Cruz. Cruz gets a near fall off a dropkick to the back and controls Marty on the mat. Cruz starting to get frustrated and gets a near fall. Cruz throwing right. Marty will not go down. Marty hits an inverted long blow, which is an inverted slam dunk, but driving the knees to the back this time and not to the gut. Reverse slam dunk, gets a near fall. Fight back on for Marty, beating the hell out of Cruz. Cruz gets... Crossbody gets Marty a near fall, Knee in the corner, double knees to Cruz. Face gets Marty a near fall. Cruz hits a version of what Alex Shane used as the show stealer, because this is where he got the name from, because he had a feud with Alex Shane, who was the original show stealer, and hits Alex's old finishing move, the show stealer driver thing, and gets a near fall. Marty rolls up, gets a near fall, 1 near fall each, and then both men hit a double clothesline. Toe to toe in the ring, both men. Ref gets taken out. Marty hits roaring elbow, goes for the cover, no ref. Cruz hits a low blow, then an ace crusher, but gets a near fall. Marty gets a near fall, then Cruz kicks Marty at the side of the head and gets the win, and becomes the very first Progress Wrestling champion. And that's about it for the Progress Wrestling podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and the review. I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. I actually thought it was really good. And who knows, maybe this Progress Wrestling podcast will work. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. This is the debut of the Progress Wrestling podcast. Tune in next week for Chapter 2. And until then, guys, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check out the other episodes of the podcast, the ICW podcast, and episode 65 of the Wrestling Matters podcast as well, where I tell you about what's going down as far as the ICW podcast, as well as other things that are happening, and review WWE, NXT, Ring of Honor, and TNA. But until next time, guys, my name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. 4 out of 5 for the Progess Wrestling Chapter 1. Be sure to check it out on the on-demand service as well. I'm Anthony Walker. Peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Simpson.